have to repeat what you just said.
I feel a strong energy flowing into my heart. It's like pushing, like if you took your thumb and pushed it on my chest. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And I said that it's probably a good sign that the energy is getting to you, though there's probably some level of blockages in there. It's probably a sign that the energy is getting to you. That's what I sense.
And I was kind of zoning out and connecting in their field or something. It knocked me out a little bit, but I got this strong image of a clock slowing down, time slowing down.
Yeah.
And something about stasis.
It's probably time slowing down because you're contacting the civilization instead of both of you living in the same black hole region, a galaxy you would call it, and living in no time where time goes very fast. And now that you're contacting them and creating a physical body for them with the communication and so on, time is probably slowing down for them. That's what I feel like. They're getting more culture into their system, and it's feeling like it's slowing down instead of speeding up. Very strong smell of gasoline, by the way.
Oh.
Somebody's mowing with an open top lawnmower, and you can smell the gasoline from the engine because it's very impure. Or somebody spilled gasoline over the thing. Is gonna light us on fire when I do this lighter. Nah, no gasoline. I posted on Bringforth about doing this dialogue there and posting it there. I posted there and explained that we have 2 hours of dialogue and we're gonna post them there eventually. We're probably gonna get 5 hours of dialogue today before we post it there. We're probably gonna do a lot of these recordings, I have a hunch. Hope it's not too much work for you to edit them into a video.
It's super easy. It's just drag and then zoom, expand the image, to cover all the audio, and then save as video. I may have to convert the format of these to something the editor can use.
Yeah, but it's still probably an easy job, right?
Yeah.
Good. I don't want to burden you with that. Did I mention that I had a communique with Carla about the experience she had after she died?
No.
I had an experience that when she died, she felt like in her life she got raped by the information. The spirits, that she got pushed in the wrong alignment and did a lot of not truly loving things, but a lot of the light things. That she didn't take, for example, the message from Ra to heart about not looking at the numbers and went for the numbers and got in a sense raped. That's what she felt like.
Oh.
And she was and the spirits talking about her were very to the point about it. They didn't try to hide it, and they said that that's what happened in her life, and that's basically what she felt like after she died, that she missed out on I don't know, perhaps a better way, an opportunity to channel or something. That's what I got when I was talking with her, and I said that I have a message for her, and that's what I felt that she's doing, that there's a better way to channel. And now that I know more about channeling, I'm absolutely sure it's the random passage thing, clicking the random on the raw conversation thing and reading those sentences. I'm absolutely convinced that that's the safer way to channel. That's what they wanted to tell her, that you can just have the old material and click the random thing and talk to Ra on a normal mindset. That's basically what I felt like the spirits wanted to tell her. And when she died, it's probably one of those things that felt like she got raped. I feel like it's the old process of putting in a way light before love.
Yeah.
And aiming for the large community and the large audience and so on, and that's what got her. I feel like that's what the message that they gave me was so that's what I felt like. Could be completely wrong.
This energy feels very magnetic.
They seem to have a strong affinity for magnetism because of their star. Because it's smaller than our star, it doesn't have as much UV light in it, I feel. its magnetic field is probably stronger to them than our sun's is to us, because they're probably a little bit closer to the center of it.
Yeah.
So magnetism is probably a big thing. I also feel that their planet is slightly warmer than ours, so it's also possible that they're closer to their sun. So that would contribute to the magnetism. I wonder if they're gonna criticize me for like being all evil with you and doing channelings and stuff. I wonder if they're gonna criticize that somehow. I feel now.
Well, you told me to be okay with my lusts, so
yeah,
is that evil?
That's probably a good thing. Not to try to change them, but to feel through them. Because everything disappears eventually, and the quicker you like accept that you have a lust, the quicker you'll eventually get over it. But it's not designed to be easier to overcome them when you like focus on them, but that's basically what it does. When you don't try to hide away from it, but you try to embrace it. That's basically what it does, I think.
So if you, is it, you feel, when you have light and love, you feel love in your heart and light in your third eye? Because I feel pressure in my third eye and my heart.
You would probably feel love in both if you have a very strongly love-aligned system.
Oh.
And light in both if you have a very light-aligned system. But in honesty, it probably feels like one is love and the other is light. That's probably what it feels like, because humans have like an inborn split personality, where the love is one center and the light is another, and you have to integrate them before you die, or the love will like fall into basically like the ether, and the higher personality will like disconnect and rise to the heavens. That's what a lot of people say when you don't like integrate your desires and loves. They like fall into basically hell when you die, and the higher centers get ascended, and it's completely random on which side you'll fall into. Should have brought my soda out here. This is the water bottle with the mislabeled thing. When you look at the label, you will see that it reads per serving 0 calories, per container 10 calories. So you would assume that there's like an order of 10 and one serving is like 1/10 of it. But it then reads about 3 servings per container, and potassium is at 1 serving is 200 micrograms or milligrams or whatever, and per container is 580 milligrams.
Yeah.
You notice that it absolutely can't be correct. And there's like sodium 0 in 1 serving and sodium 100 milligram in the entire container. So you notice it absolutely can't be true that they're making mistakes. That's what I mentioned earlier. You could even split this conversation into individual like conversation sized parts, and put it on a randomizer and talk to us probably more accurately than we can talk to each other or ourselves. That would even work as a spirit conduit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be a lot of work.
Yeah. But that would be like a good spirit conduit to our higher selves, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And putting this audio file in that Winamp playlist, like gathering all those things, would probably also work really well. As opposed to like really going into the trance and like talking for another race. That's like very, in a way, risky.
Yeah.
I miss Carla. She was a very nice person. I miss her.
Do you think she's already in 4th or whatever density, or is she still in 3rd, preparing to move over?
She feels like she's between 5th and 6th density at the moment. That she's
going to move into 6th?
That she's trying to move into 6th, but will probably, because of her lack of like wisdom in her actions, probably return to the 5th.
Oh.
Like she had an overabundance of love and wanted to love a lot of people, but didn't realize that it's just as important to love one person as it is a large group. And that probably converted into a sense of like having rulership over many instead of focusing on the few, which becomes yourself easier. And that's probably going to repel her from 6th density back to 5th density. Then she's probably going to take a life in either 5th density positive, which I see, it seems a little more likely, but still fairly like a distant option for her. She's going to hover for a long time. But she could also take a life as a 5th density negative, like incarnate as a 5th density negative, just to balance out her like desire to control the many and understand why like political power controls the few instead of the many. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh.
I feel like she may even do that choice. She could be a very powerful negative. She would contribute greatly to our side. You know what I mean?
I hope I'm helping the Santa evolve.
I feel like you are. You are offering it like fulfillment of long-held desires, like helping evolve. I feel that.
It's not like I doubt that it'll happen. It's that I'm in a waiting period.
Yeah, there's definitely doubt in there as well, but you mostly seem to be in a curious waiting period. When you're just going like, I wonder when the connection will occur, because it feels like it's already in the air there. You know, that kind of waiting. When will the connection go through?
Am I a little more psychic than most fake psychics?
Yeah, you are a little more psychic than most fake psychics. A lot of fake psychics do have some psychic ability, but they're not fully utilizing it, or they're just cold reading. I've had fairly good experiences with psychics. They used to be, they're usually like fairly accurate for me, but I do occasionally get a fake psychic. Sometimes they've even attacked me as psychics and made like specifically bad outcomes like more probable. Like a couple of psychics that painted pictures, and another psychic said that that picture is clearly corrupted. You know, stuff like that has happened to me. But most of them are like okay people, but your psychic abilities are probably more in tune currently than most psychics. Like if you actually did a couple of psychic readings, you would get like the lingo and such down. You would probably already be a successful psychic.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't pursue it yet because you feel like you want to grow more.
Yeah.
Like definitely grow more before you start like giving opportunities. At least that's the sense I get from how you talk. And I wouldn't thus do the psychic thing yet, but you can do it if you feel like it. I don't feel like you should do it yet though.
No, I don't want to.
You have done a few psychic readings for me, so that's like in the realm of work.
Am I feeling his energy field? Is that why? Is it really? Is it really like? Is his energy intense?
It's fairly hypnotically or magnetically intense, but he's relaxed about it. He has a hypnotic aura about him, like a magnetic hypnotic aura. But his energies are like fairly intense, but not like probably the strongest magnetic field on you. That's probably the sun, or like their sun. Most of the sensations you get from talking to him are probably your psychic abilities becoming more in tune in general instead of necessarily sensing him, though that's possible. We didn't get to watch Seinfeld. I was doing grounding exercises, and then I started to feel like I want to smoke in the middle of the grounding exercise, and we came out to do another recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought I'd point that out if you haven't yet watched the Seinfeld. You want to put the thing on the metal thing, or do you want to hold it on your leg? Your leg looks a little uncomfortable. Hope it records loudly enough.
Talking a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk. Yeah. Do you hear anything?
No, it's not picking you up. When I talk here, it picks. Hello? Yeah, it picks me up. It didn't register anything over there.
Does it pick me up from this distance?
Yeah, well, I think it does.
Yeah, it clearly does, but very lowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does pick me up. You may have to listen to it a little weirdly, though. Like have it on a loud volume or something. We'll see the quality. If it's abysmally low, we probably won't do more, but we'll see. I don't want to drag out like a laptop and a professional microphone out here. That's too much of a hassle. We could probably connect some kind of plug-in microphone to that thing, but it seems like it's a lot of hassle. I wonder if we'll get our own church, like the raw material, like eventually the anthro material, you know, have like our own church. I wonder. It's probably not what I want at all, though. But the universe doesn't always give you what you want.
Should I like share him with the world, or should I just keep him to myself?
It depends. I would probably be unable to keep him to myself if I were you, and I would talk to people the same way I talk about my experiences with the three goddesses and Keiichi with you.
Yeah.
I would probably be unable to keep it from the world. I don't think you really have to be afraid of the government coming and taking him and putting him in like containers, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think you really have to be afraid of that, but it's a possibility. If he has like distinctly anthro abilities and such, it's possible that he'll be hunted for it. But I consider it a little unlikely. It seems our government has more aliens to hunt than him. Based on how easily I got here, they don't seem interested in hunting like the normal street person. I'm gonna smoke one more base, then we can go watch Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish that battlefield air mission thing that I'm doing now, then we can continue with the thing. So I'll complete my grounding.
Do you think he's reading the posts that I put on the forum?
Probably not directly, but he has some kind of idea of what you're posting. He's probably, I have a hunch that he may not be like directly reading forums and things you do.
Yeah.
But that he has some kind of hunch of what you're doing, like he knows that you post on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
He knows things like that, but I do have a hunch he may not be following everything you do at every time, because that would be like, you know, depletive of the sexual energies, which is what he feels like mostly focusing on.
It would deplete his or mine?
Both. Probably make it like more hard to connect with you in a base level when he knows everything about you. It would become like a moving something that already exists to another location instead of making it at the other location. Like moving a house across the state instead of building a new house. It would feel like that to him.
Do you think he's moving at an enjoyable pace, or is he like treading carefully?
I think he's doing an enjoyable pace, but he does seem to be a little careful.
Oh. That
he's occasionally stopping to make plans for the worst case scenario, but he seems to be moving at a comfortable pace.
Do you think he's choosing light over love like you are?
He seems like more light-oriented, but he's definitely got a strong spirit for love. he's definitely got a strong spirit for love, but he definitely seems like light oriented to me, like knowledge and wisdom and awareness oriented instead of like fluffy feelings. He seems like an outlier in his society which has a lot of fluffy feelings. Like he's connected, but he feels like kind of like distant from his society, like anxious, like I mentioned earlier, and a little shy. So that's probably that he doesn't feel completely comfortable in such a love-filled society, and is probably looking for like a better match, and is looking at our somewhat more light-filled society with curiosity. That's what I sense.
When people have been together for 50, 60 years, they still make time for each other. And
yeah, you have to do that. No relationship is automatic. You have to like intentionally send the other person love. It's not an automatic process, and it's not an easy process. You like intentionally have to remember to love the other person and be kind upon them, or you'll be basically fucked. You have to do it intentionally. Always the first infatuation falls away and you find something that interests you more, but you have to consciously say no to it and return to your original. You can't like let yourself flow to the new one when it first interests you. You'll basically, in my opinion, prostitute your other self when you do that. You don't like give them chance to grow to be a part of you. You just cut them off the moment they feel uncomfortable and move to the next one. That's, to me, that feels like prostituting the other self.
The other self meaning him?
Yeah, the partner. In the raw material, they talk about prostituting the women's self. In this case, the partner would probably be a closer translation.
Yeah.
When you have like the higher self in a bubble and you make like a lot of trickle events or something, and try it in like different fashions instead of like truly approaching your higher self and truly approaching the other like partner. You know, that's what happens. You know, it's prostituting the other self. That's what I feel like. Yeah.
I only got one chance at this. I don't expect them to send me another anthro. I'm not looking for that.
They'll probably send infinite anthros because, like I said, they did that nuclear explosion in their planet that you can always find another anthro. That it's not like connected to the single being. They probably.
So if he gets fickle and leaves me, I can say, hey.
Yeah, that's one of the nuclear explosions they did, so that there's enough like anthro organism energy on their world to always find a new anthro. You know, that's the energy they put into the nuclear explosion, so they probably had like a infinite supply of anthros in a way. They're probably thinking of each egg cell and sperm cell as being a self-sentient anthro, and they're probably using that to have like a infinite supply of anthros instead of having to raise their population, because they use like the genetic engineering thing to generate the anthro that you're looking for, or like want to connect with you from the base of anthro energies that they have. So it's probable that they will be able to generate another one with less harm or less like effort that we would have to put in to generate another human partner, or like a very highly advanced civilization would take to generate another partner, you know, one with a very low birth rate.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably fairly easy for them. I wouldn't like basically worry about it. From what I got off the anthro civilizations, and I feel like the Sophixby from Star Control 2 are like a very good anthro civilization example. I'm going to show you one of the dialogues that you can have with them in the game so that you understand them better. And they are like phenomenally fast readers, and that to me feels like a connection here, so that there's always like another anthro available, you know. I sense the same type of energy.
their world has billions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it has a few billion people living on it. That's what I feel from it.
But their planet's bigger. It can handle when they're not stressing their resources.
Yeah, because they have a very ecological approach to life. They're not stressing their resources much. And like I said, because they mostly use fission instead of coal to power themselves, they don't need as many mine sites as we do. They don't have like the same kind of industrial damage on their homeworld that we do. So they probably can tolerate the population that they have a lot easier than we do. I get that hunch. We have a lot of very visible industrial damage on our planet, like as far as civilizations are concerned, as far as I can tell. We're still like fairly environmentally minded. One of those bugs is sending me a message when I'm talking to you, and we probably have a fair bit of industrial damage on our planet when you look at it from space compared to other races. But it's hard to tell because industrial damage is such a unique concept. Like, it's possible that other species don't view our industrial damage as industrial damage, but rather just like a normal part of the planet's life cycle. So it's hard to tell. But from what I can tell, it does distinctly feel like there's less industrial damage on their planet than on ours. But I could be wrong because their atmosphere smells so strongly of like a tear gas that it could be like that they're damaging their planet more than we are. It's hard to tell. The animals in the background when I'm talking about this damage seem very intent to have their opinion known that that they don't consider us as damaging the planet, that we shouldn't accept the that bug.
Yeah. Oh.
That bzz, 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 bzz sound that it's making in the distance. It's probably some kind of bird or something. And the animals on this planet want it to be known fairly like strongly that they don't consider us as damaging the planet. That we are not at the point where we can damage the planet in a way that would make sense to them. Like even us lobbing all our nuclear weapons at each other wouldn't be like damaging the planet. It would be like the planet taking a deep breath and having its heart skip a beat. That's about the damage we would do. We don't like damage the planet in the sense of the animal life talking to us. It's a very strong signal. I keep getting interference from the nature when I talk about this. But in the view that we have of industrial damage, which may or may not be true, it's quite strongly indicated that theirs has less of it. That's like the message, with the caveats added. That crack in my teeth has fixed itself. The thing I started to develop because I didn't brush my teeth for a long enough period of time. It's clearly fixed itself. There's no longer like a crack in my enamel.
Oh.
It feels very strongly of that. It's interesting. Fixed itself. Mutant abilities. So the towing company connected to me today saw their bright red car, like I mentioned in the car ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at one point in my past, the towing company fucked me up pretty badly, and they offered me like a financial compensation in spirit, and I didn't take it, and I took them always having a bright red car when I need to be reminded of my financial assets, or I need to be reminded of the fact that I could have taken their assets or that I can still take their assets, but I have enough of my own. When that particular like impulse comes to me, I always see a very brightly colored red car. And I saw a very bright red sports car when I was thinking of my abilities after I had the conversation in the subway. And I overheard the weird conversation with that one guy clearly talking in Finnish.
to the black guy entering the store going, "Hello, black man," in a very like gangsta-ish Finnish voice. And when I heard that, with the car that I saw afterwards, the sports car, that was like that guy's sense of, I belong, because of the guy saying that, and then me thinking of whether or not I have the power to manifest something like that, and then seeing the taurine car. It was clearly connected in a theme, and that was very nice. I didn't like the idea of taking the money because I have enough in ISK. I don't worry about having money in that regard when I do spiritual things. I can't use it for my own pleasure though, because I have a hang up on it, and I can clearly, when I really focus on taking energy from that, clearly detect a lot of guys with bags walking by me this is the money bag, when it's probably just old sports clothing. But I do clearly feel like people with a lot of bags walking next to me in a mafia way, here is your little bag of money. But I've never picked it up and never made the tendrils to pick it up. I could probably manifest that, have somebody walk to my life and give me a bag of money and walk away. I could probably manifest that, but I've always felt a hang up on it. I have trouble accepting gifts and energy, you've noticed, which is why this little gift vacation is giving me a lot of good things. Somebody giving me a gift vacation, it's giving me a lot of good energy.
If I get this anthro, it's that's a gift worth more than any amount of money.
Yeah. At least I'm making you more convinced that you can have it. That's a good start. It's no longer just in the realm of fantasy. I'm talking to you a lot about how you could get it from some civilization with a walk-in and so on and so forth. At least we're doing a lot of that level of grounding work.
This might be more than just a spiritual, than just his spirit. There may be some DNA in there too.
I would estimate that there's probably DNA involved in the process. It would be fairly hard to have just a spirit component. There's probably some kind of DNA reacting somewhere, the shuttle material.
Yeah.
It's probably reacting somewhere, making a record of it for both of you. Strands from a virus interacting with your DNA and replicating, and then your body having every cell be of that, but still be your own. Like a virus doing that, it feels like.
Does your first relationship would be the most difficult, or
I don't know?
Is it hard to have a first relationship?
I don't know. It's hard to say because some people put a lot more effort into their second relationship than their first one. For example, I'm putting a significant amount of more effort into hitting on Skald than I ever did with my actual girlfriend. I didn't appreciate her as much as I should have. And I didn't put enough effort into it, even though it was my first serious relationship. I was being something of a douche in the entire relationship. I can clearly see that. And I didn't put enough effort into it. So, I don't know. Now I'm putting a lot more effort into my Skald relationship. So, I don't know. It's hard to say.
When you start attracting something into your life, do you feel your energy and their energy pulling towards each other?
I feel a child in between, and giving energy to that child makes them turn towards each other. And it's not like a relationship pulling towards each other. A relationship both pulls and repels. But if you have a good relationship, you will eventually merge with the other person and become one mind. Because the child you generate will have the mind of both of its parents, and one parent will become subservient while the other will become dominant. But very, 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 very often the one that becomes subservient is actually the male, not the female. So it's not the female become dominated by the male. You know this if you study DNA, and while the child's DNA almost always has the I don't remember what it's called, but one part of the DNA always from the mother and never from the father. I think it's mitochondrial, which is how you produce energy in your cell, which is basically the soul, like the core aspect of your creation, how you produce energy. But in some cases, it's actually inherited from the father. So it's not impossible for you to have your father's soul, essentially, but it's almost always the mother that generates the mitochondrial DNA. So, what were you asking?
About dominate. I was gonna ask if he's more dominating or if I'm the more dominator.
Yeah, the dominating question. Most often the DNA from both of the parents is used in some regard, and the energy doesn't come from one of them, and they both shift towards each other. It's not like one pulling or the other pulling or both of them pulling. It's like a interaction between two stars in orbit of each other, and possibly slowly merging into one star unless one of them gets pulled away by the gravity of something involving themselves in the situation, like another star or a black hole or something. So it's not like a constant pull from both of them or one of them. It's more like a star-like interaction, both repel and pull at the same time. Know what I mean? I hope that answered.
When two people are in a relationship, nobody sees their relationship as ordinary, do they? They think theirs is special.
They always think it's a special thing. That's why relationships are so special.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always feel like it's a special kind of love, but that's what love is supposed to feel like, because you're generating your own logos with the love when you're generating a new life form or a new world or a new way of thinking. With the interaction, you're always becoming a new world, and that's why it feels so special, because it's your new world instead of the old world. It's always feeling special, with the American sense of this world is special because we found it, that kind of specialty, even though the Indians were living there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of special that it feels like. I should wear socks more often to let my wound heal. I have a callus on my leg that I've been trying to cut off, and it's on one of the legs. The surgery of me cutting it off worked very well, and the other one it's still sore. It's dead tissue that I cut off on the bottom of my foot, and one of them is not hurting anymore, and the other one is still hurting, so I need to wear socks so it doesn't hurt. Thought I'd give that information out there if any of them wants to send healing energy to my foot. That's a topic you can send healing energy to. I really should have bought the soda out here. I miss it. I could go get it, but that's too much of a hassle for now.
You don't think they execute criminals in his world, do you?
Very occasionally somebody does get executed, but it's very rare.
Because you're not into execution no matter how bad a person is.
Yeah, I'm not into execution no matter how bad a person is. I don't think I have death penalty in my system, but I think it's possible that I left it there. I tried having death penalty and unlimited abortion, but I concluded that it's a bad idea, that no matter what you do, you don't want the aura field that becomes when you kill a person. I'm very much against killing people. And even the worst things I've done, I feel like they aren't fully my responsibility, and that I haven't really killed anyone, but who knows. And I currently have abortions in the case of rape or birth defect. When you feel like the baby isn't yours, and you go through the entire process of psychological evaluation and doctor visits and so on, you get the permission for the abortion even if there was no rape or physical birth defect involved. But the fact that you consider it an outsider baby is enough for you to have a birth defect diagnosis in it.
Yeah.
But you have to go through a very extensive process if there isn't a physical birth defect involved. It's not just you go to a clinic and say, abortion. That's not how it works in my society, because the child has certain rights. And when the fetus is of the age where it can survive in a isolation chamber or one of those growth chambers, it's put to a premature birth instead of an abortion. and it's put in one of those container things instead of being put in like an abortion situation. My understanding and connection with my spiritual society is incredibly strong. I'm able to manifest like world level changes into this world by changing that world, and I'm very content with it. I got a very good tool. It was a gift from the Grey civilization and the political power civilization of our civilization when I was doing a lot of work and doing a lot of very heavy attempting to contact people things and attempting to form my power center. That's when I found the game. Like in like if you explore a dungeon and you suddenly find a treasure chest, and that is the game, and
Yeah.
it's completely related to the dungeon you're at. That's like how I found it. Same with the Norse map. It was like a gift from heaven, like literally a gift from the Grey civilization. And I do feel like my war with them has made them less like eager to immediately jump to give me gifts, but that they're much more like cultivated in their gifts. They aren't like in an active war with me. They don't actively try to hurt me, because the Grey civilization seems to be mostly composed of like actual robot aliens and our younglings, like the boys and girls of our society.
Yeah.
And because I'm currently mostly at like war with the young boys of our society, I don't want them influencing me. I've had too much of that. I don't want them influencing me. The young girl society with the Grey society is kind of hard pressed to keep the young boy side society of the Grey civilization from flipping their shit and coming after me. So I do feel like the Greys are a little more hesitant to keep like active contact with me. Same with the Floaters, because I'm at war with them as well. But they do like very intentionally go through the effort of giving me a gift occasionally. Like going through the
Psychic
effort.
gift or
Yeah, like physical gift, seeing people that fulfill my desires and so on. Like being introduced to very beautiful people at very specific intervals and stuff like that. That they clearly do from the point of view of the child civilization. And it's very pleasant when they go through
Yeah.
the effort. It's very pleasant.
Are STOs powerful manifestors too?
Yeah, they're pretty good at manifesting. STOs are probably a little better at manifesting, but don't have the desire to do so. From my point of view, STO beings have given up a lot of desire for a lot of hoopla. They're basically, like Loki, in my opinion, said that they feel like they're using the power of the dead, that they're using like the love of being dead to power themselves, and they're not using the love of being alive to power themselves, that they're all about like reaching God, which is basically the point of death, and they're all seeking for that instead of like reveling in their desires and building like a successful emotional based society based on their own desires, well integrated with their being. That's what I feel like STO societies are like, but their power of manifestation is probably stronger than STS. So for like a pure magical existence, or just like a pure joy existence, you are probably better off choosing the STO side than the STS. But if you do want like a life full of experience, like a life worth living in not like an archaic study place, you are definitely better off choosing 51% STS and 49% STO, and then living in a planet where the harvest eventually scoops you up to, and you like by accident drop into the fourth density. Like in the past 5 minutes, which this particular harvest will look like, you were in a old folks home helping people, and then you suddenly harvest to the fourth density, and you're like, I didn't expect to get here. You know, that's like the proper outcome for an STS being. You don't like aim to be 95% yourself, because it's very hard work, it's very tiresome work, and when you do graduate with just a mindset of being like 95% selfish, you end up as a clerk, you know, like Genghis Khan, or like Himmler, instead of becoming something noticeable like your own emperor, because if you're your own emperor, you already take care of your own people and you don't reach the 95% STS. So if you are like a powerful STS being, you will maintain the veil, and you will have 51% STS, 49% STO, and then you will proceed with that until the harvest like randomly scoops you up. Like you die randomly, and then you just go like, oh my god, you know?
If I do get this anthro being in my life, is that powerful manifestation?
It's a very powerful manifestation. If you do actually get somebody who walks up to you and says, hi, I am your anthro manifestation, that is a very powerful spell. If you do get somebody into your life that eventually starts showing you their anthro abilities and magical abilities, and you notice that those really aren't possible with humans, like I've noticed with a couple of the people I've manifested into my life, like my ex-girlfriend, for example, it's also a very powerful manifestation. It's it's not a light magic work to create like a clay person that becomes real. It's not like.
But I'm not into ritual.
Yeah, but you're doing the magic. You're not
Yeah.
doing like ritual magic, but you're doing the magic, and it's actually in a fairly ritualized form, even though it's not ritual magic, like with bells and chanting and such.
Yeah.
But it's still fairly ritual magic because it's in a very like strict form. Like if you actually think of the plan where you make like a being by writing the details of what the being should be like, then put that note into like a clay being, and then do a spell of find a way for this person to become a actual person instead of a clay person. We're doing like almost exactly what's done in the Kabbalah, like the Jewish literature when they make the clay people. That's like almost straight from the Jewish like magic, you know.
But I'm mentioning my interest in my Anthromate on my forum. So if somebody approaches me from the forum, they already read what I did. So
Yeah.
you can't know if
That's
they're honest.
the thing. The more open you are with it, the easier it is for it to approach you, but it's also more easy for somebody to fool you. So, for example, my interest in the Goddess series with Skald and Beldandi and such, damn, that's a persistent bug, with the Skald and Beldandi and such, makes it easier for somebody who's like just interested in the material or just interested in like fooling me to actually get to me and fool me. But it's also much more like important for them to protect me because I'm being public about it. So I don't feel like I've been fooled any more than I would have been fooled if I were private. I don't feel that.
I don't know how I'd react if somebody came and said, I'm your anthro.
Yeah.
Would I cry, or would I be like, no, you're not?
Yeah, that's the point. You would be very surprised. The first reaction is probably them actually telling you and then casting some kind of spell, like some magical thing that you could instantly recognize is from the anthro world. And then the first reaction you would have is, I'm still going with drooling. You would literally become a drooling ball for a few moments and go like, and then after a while your brain would start working again and you would be able to talk again. But you would definitely go with the drooling first.
Would you have the same reaction if you saw a goddess for real?
I've had the reaction. I've told a few times, but I've seen like Skald and Beldandi, and when they've done magics of merging with me or something similar that I've clearly noticed to be magic, the reaction has always been one of wow, with like a really like out of this body sense of wow, and like looking at something weird floating in space instead of like understanding what I'm looking at, or seeing some kind of weird artifact that can't be done with human understanding and so on. So I feel like I do get weird things from like the goddesses, and my reaction has usually been one of absolute surprise, though I've managed to, in my opinion, hold myself together fairly well. I feel like they're a little surprised that I've been able to hold myself together as well as I've been able to hold myself together, like especially my subconscious mind. I feel like they're a little surprised by that. I'm gonna smoke one more base, and I'm gonna go get my soda and my energy drink.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab an energy drink too.
Okay. You can leave it out here if you want to, or take it with you.
I'll bring it with me.
Okay. Hello. Doing good. You visited the store, bought milk and various other things like a huge block of cheese.
There's stuff in the back I need to show you. That tuna stuff, there's a whole bunch of it back there.
Yeah, I have a lot of tuna back there, but I bought more because I think I'm gonna run out by the end of the month. Like before I leave, I have a month remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, take care. We're gonna be in the yard. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you get, hope you get stay healthy and such.
Is that a new can?
You can. I drank the old one and
I grabbed the red one. Is that the one you want?
I think I drank both of my red ones. I'm taking an orange one now. These cans are 99 cents a can of energy drink, which is incredibly cheap. We found it at a local gas station, and we're like, nice! This saves us a bundle of money.
But if he drinks too many, his elbows hurt.
My whole body hurts, and it locks up and goes really bad, and I get like a neck pain that lasts for 3 days. And when like I'm in the car and you brake, it feels like somebody's shooting at my neck. And you brake a lot when you go in the car. You don't like decelerate like in a steady slow stream when you approach a traffic light and there's somebody there. You pump the brake and go like and I go back and forth in the chair, man, and my neck is killing me, and I'm like, drive steady, you motherfucker! Oh, the soda is still drinkable. A 28 gram or 1 ounce bag of that hemp flower, which has no THC in it, which is legal everywhere, is $90. So I have been smoking like a horse, and it's been very nice. It feels like opioids. It feels like morphine, and you feel warm and fuzzy and loving, and it's very nice. You don't get any kinds of hallucinations. It's very good.
Well, the hemp flower got me off alcohol.
Yeah.
But since I've done this energy work, the psychic smelling and tuning into my anthro, I've not felt as much of having to do the CBD.
I think you took like a 3-4 day break like a few times once you've started this work.
Yeah.
You've taken a lot of breaks and like adjusted well. I'm very content that my activities here were able to get you off the alcohol.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of other things like getting you actually feel like you can connect with the anthros, getting you in tune with the anthro civilization, giving you those initiations, like getting you in tune with the tarot. We've done a lot of very like critical spiritual work. And even those 2 books that you're buying from the Barbara and Brennan lady, those are very highly recommended by every spirit worker that I've basically ever seen. They're very highly recommended. And we got you in tune with her model of body structures and mental structures, which in my opinion is probably from the basic like psychiatric diagnosis field, probably the most relevant material I've ever found. The whole masochistic, rigid, psychopathic, schizotypal oral structure like chart. We've gotten you in tune with that one as well, and that I feel is probably more important than I understand at the moment. I feel that.
That energy is, well, what she teaches can be used for manifestation, not just healing, correct?
Yeah, and we got you in tune with the pathway style of manifestation.
Yeah.
Where you like create an object and then start focusing on the pathways for that object to get to you, instead of just like going, object, come here. You like create specific pathways that this object can be teleported by some higher being, but that's probably too energy intensive. I get this object by walking to the store, that's probably less energy intensive, you know? We got you in tune with that model, and we got you in tune with the trickle vent thing, which is very important. That's a very important spiritual thing, I feel. Of course, everything is just like, you know, the master's opinion. The student takes what's actually important. But I feel like those couple of things are probably more important than I understand or let on. Like, you know, it's all important. We've done a lot of like very critical health work. And I would like to point out that I've seen you start to eat more salads lately. You've said after you've done the spirit work, like after you started doing it, food tasted too heavy to you, and you started to prefer lighter food. And I've noticed you haven't eaten as much when we go out recently. A few times, like at the Olive Garden, you ate like a horse, but for the most part you haven't eaten as much. I've also noticed that.
Yeah.
It's probably not a critical thing, but you do seem a little discontent about the body weight, so that's probably like a contributing factor.
Well, I want to look good. I don't want to be look unattractive to him.
I don't think he would consider you unattractive because of body weight. I think that. But he would probably consider you unhealthy because you can't walk around with him as much. Like he would probably, if he came here, be very into like walking outside with like his job is in the home world. Is that, you know, the delivery job. He would be probably very interested in walking outside a lot. And I feel like he's
I would walk with him about a mile, but I probably couldn't go further than that.
Yeah, he would probably eventually do like 10 miles every few days. That's probably what I feel like he would do with you if he was here. He would probably get you in shape to do that.
Yeah.
And I do feel like if he just lounges at your place and grows fat, he's gonna have psychiatric problems.
Yeah.
he's gonna become psychotic eventually. I do feel that. So I do feel like for his health, he's probably gonna keep up his physical exercise, and he will probably drag you along for it and get you to walk like 10-mile runs or 10-mile walks like fairly regularly. I do feel that.
Do you think I'll be supporting him?
Yeah, you feel like you'll be supportive, but there will be a distance. There will be a hardness about you having to change yourself, which you dislike to do. And it'll make the situation hard or harsh, but you will probably support him. That's kind of what I sense. Probably the thing you will do at the beginning is the same I did with my girlfriend, which is she runs and I bike. And I bike next to her and she runs the entire way. That's probably what you'll do in the beginning to get you in shape so you can both have like a good exercise. It's probably the beginning part. That's what I did with my girlfriend. When I still had one.
Do you think he'll be as physically strong as his anthracite?
Probably not. He'll probably be a little upset that his muscles aren't as strong as they used to be. Because human muscles feel like milk. They're like very soft, supple, milky.
Yeah.
You have to work exceptionally hard, Bruce Lee level hard, to have your muscles become like muscle feeling.
Yeah.
They feel milky. And compared to animals of our own body weight, our strength is minuscule.
Yeah.
Like gorilla against the world's best rope puller pulls the rope puller like to the mud with one hand. That's a gorilla.
Yeah.
They're incredibly strong. And even though they're like orangutan actually did that. You know, with one hand pulling one guy into the pit. Like the orangutan had like both hands on the rope, and the other guy kept pulling and going like, he went as hard as he could, and the orangutan was just looked around and was like, what's going on? And then he realized what the game is supposed to be, and while he, I think, had both hands on the rope, it looked like he was pulling with one hand, like putting one hand worth of effort, and he like just completely pulled the guy into the mud.
Oh, they had a gorilla that was bench press. They taught to bench press.
Yeah.
And he took the weights and threw them.
Nice protest. I will do none of this shit. Go, Banzai! And thing goes flying. That's probably really good. I still remember the one experiment where they gave a elephant about like a 300 times more massive dose of LSD than it should have taken in one of those drug tests that they wanted to do to prove that LSD is dangerous, one of those really stupid tests. And the elephant just trumpeted his horn, started foaming at the mouth, fell over it on its side and died. And they used that as a proof that LSD is dangerous. But when you look at like how much they gave it and transfer it body mass to body mass, even if you assume the brain is the same, it was like a 300 time dose compared to what humans normally take. So no wonder the animal died. I keep thinking of that and have like a really bad feeling about it. It feels very wrong. You know, it feels like a very wrong experiment that they did.
What if you took a bunch of strong weed and ate until you were stuffed? Would that kill you?
It wouldn't kill you. The amount of weed required to kill you by overdose is something along the lines of 10 kilos of pure weed eaten. It's an enormous amount.
Oh.
You can't do that, like, unless you're one of those world-ranked super eaters. You can't do that. But it would give you such a horrifying time that you might never recover, psychologically speaking.
Yeah.
I did 2 space cakes and it took me something on the order of 10 years until I had like the black magic thing to clear all of the gunk from them, and it's probably still not all gone. So eating a strong amount is like it's a very strong thing to do. It's not necessarily a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
It's necessarily not a smart thing to do. $230 calories per can, 310 micrograms or milligrams of salt, sodium, 13% daily value, 57 grams of total carbohydrates, 19% of daily value, and that's like vastly underestimated. 50 grams of sugar is way more than 10% of or 20% of your daily requirement. And actual sugars are 53 grams, which is amazingly high amount if you think like pouring 53 grams of sugar into this thing is like half the can. It's an insane amount. 200% riboflavin, 200% niacin, 200% vitamin B6 and 200% vitamin B12. So they should take the best vitamin concentrate supplement that's available and put like a couple of doses into all of these cans so you get like every vitamin available. They should probably also put something like radioactives, but in very minuscule doses like they have in that Tibetan salt, like very minuscule doses. That would probably also help the health. So it's not like completely lacking in radioactives.
If you leave things open as to how they will manifest, the universe will always surprise you, won't it?
Yeah, but it may surprise you in ways that make it impossible for you to tell that the manifestation succeeded. But the more open you leave it, it's usually the better for the universe.
Yeah.
And the more controlled you have it, it's usually the worse for the universe, usually speaking.
What do you want to ask? What do you want to clear up with the Seinfeld?
I don't have a specific question, but some kind of communique from Skull would be interesting.
Can they speak to both of us, address my issues and address yours in the same episode?
Yeah, I think that's possible. It shouldn't be impossible for as I know of. They could address literally a ton of issues at the same episode and spread them out like 5 seconds per issue, and they could do that very easily as well. Sad that the recorder didn't work all the way there. We could place it on the table here with all the stuff that's being smoked on the table. We could probably place it there.
It's not a pain.
Yeah, but it's a little awkward position to put it on the table there because it would feel like it's like behind us.
Yeah.
Instead of like straight in between us with your leg.
Is manifesting supposed to take a lot of bioenergy?
Nah, it does take a bit. There we go.
I feel like I'm being drained, but it may be because I haven't slept.
All kinds of channeling work are very draining. Like talking in depth about an alien race on the record and doing the channeling, even if you're just mostly asking questions, is very draining. That's what I learned reading the raw material, that it's almost always very draining to channel something. And you also haven't slept well last night, so those two things can contribute. But it's possible that somebody's draining you. You know, it's possible that I'm inadvertently causing to drain you. You know, that's possible, but I consider it a little unlikely. It's also possible that the black magic group is retaliating. Though the most likely outcome seems to be the channeling. I wouldn't look beyond that. Loki tried to chase behind a cat today on the yard but couldn't catch it. Old Lolo is too fat to run behind a cat. Any more questions?
I wonder if it have just enough DNA to smell like anthro, but it doesn't have to be physically one.
We'll probably find somebody with a really musky odor. You know, it's possible.
But all the anthros I've tried to smell like cookies and
Really,
cocoa butter.
You said a few of them smelled very musky.
Well, a couple of them, the cute ones, smell.
Yeah, smelled musky. Yeah, but
my sense of smell is not very strong. It's like barely 2 out of 10.
Yeah, but that's what you said. Also, you did point out that one anthro smelled like vanilla cake. You did point that out. And I said that to me he smells like vanilla cake with a zest of lemon. And I felt like he peed himself when I scanned him because I was too sudden. And that's possibly the lemon that I smelled. So it's possible that it's there. But it's also possible that he's feeling like my lusts and changing his image accordingly instead of me actually scaring him. Still keep thinking of that video with the one lady breaking her arm wrestling her boyfriend. That looked really painful. It's like, ow! You broke your freaking arm wrestling. That's gotta be painful. The bone went like snap, and her arm was like completely to the side, and you could see like a muscle poking through here, and it looked really painful. It's like, ow!
Was she screaming?
No, she was like completely calm, and we were like, I broke my arm. And she didn't even yell that the boyfriend broke her arm. She said that I broke my arm in like first person. And it was very like reaffirming that she didn't blame her boyfriend for it. And it was like, she looked really surprised. She's probably going to be in an enormous amount of pain later, but she just looked surprised, and that was like weird.
Well, I've put my hand behind me onto a piece of glass and cut my hand and didn't even know I cut it until I looked at it.
Yeah. You don't usually sense like strong pains immediately, especially cutting or breaking pains. But things like putting your hand in a nest of wasps, you will probably feel instantly, even though the pain is nowhere near as bad actually as breaking your arm, which you may not feel for a while afterwards. You know?
Yeah.
And I do accept questions from people on the forum if they listen to this and have questions about various things. I'll do like a reading on them for free while we're here. So do feel free to ask any questions if you guys have them. We'll do it like a dual read on them. I shouldn't volunteer you for shit like that.
But I'm not doing the readings.
Yeah, but I kind of volunteered you that you'll also give information. I shouldn't do that.
Oh, that's fine. But how do I remove all the doubts that I have so I have no doubt that it will...
Becoming completely enlightened.
Oh.
When I was studying healing back in Finland like 15 years ago, they were very, very strict that we understand that you shouldn't send energy to others without asking first. That you don't want to send like loving energy to the universe just to send loving energy to the universe.
Yeah.
They were very strict that we know that the universe has enough loving energy in it that we don't need to feed it. And we don't need to feed random people and give them guides in the street and do stuff like that. They were very strict that we understand that it's not like our place to do that. So I do feel like that warning also is valid in the situation of me volunteering you. So I basically kind of broke my religious code. Thank you that you weren't offended by it. It's probably weird for a lot of New Age types to hear like a spiritual healing teacher very specifically tell you not to send energy to people, like send it only when it's requested. But that's very consistent with the law of one, that you shouldn't like send energy unless it's requested of you.
Well, what if you're not being useful then? Is that a bad thing?
If you're not being useful to others for not sending energy to others, you should develop yourself when you have like a time off.
Oh.
But when you are around people, you will fairly quickly notice them asking for help, like with specific things, and then you should send energy to them instead of generally sending loving energy to them and not being individually helpful. That's like the lesson I got. It was very valid and it helped me tremendously. I keep looking and checking that there's no mosquitoes or red ants or anything on me, because I've been bitten so many times. Also, you need to send me the picture of that frog so I can post it in the thread. Frog in my throat. You know, bad joke. It's a good reply to JJ Carson, just saying frog in my throat and coughing. That's a good reply to the whole "you guys are in love" thing. It's a good reply to that. I already replied with, "Do you like Seinfeld, or do you want to crawl in bed with him after a thunderstorm?" That was a funny response. I was a little irreverent, but I considered it very funny. That's not a mosquito, but it's an itch. No, it's not a mosquito, because I had the can in my hand and I would have probably thrown it at the mosquito. How long are we at now?
An hour, 11 minutes.
Nice. These are long sessions. I don't even notice time flying so fast. Time flies when you're having fun. But it's good that I've been able to do like 3.
At least you can manifest without removing all doubts.
Mm-hmm.
You can still have a little doubt in there.
Yeah, that's good. You don't have to be like perfect to be able to manifest. That's very important. You don't have to have like perfection in you to be able to manifest. It's good that I've been able to keep like an open conduit or an open channel for 3.5 hours. That's a very good accomplishment, I feel.
Are you going to feel it later?
I'm going to feel it later. I'm going to get a slight tension headache, and I'm going to feel completely drained and like sleepy fairly quickly. Nice. That tree branch behind you looks very nice with the very new leaves at one end and then the old leaves at the other end, because it's growing. Not all of these branches are growing, but one directly behind you looks very nice. Like there.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very nice. So 3.5 hours. Oh, that's nice. I wonder if Texas will completely legalize weed by the time I come back here. Probably not, but that would be like a huge surprise to me. It would be a very pleasant surprise. If they only also legalize things like space cakes and LSD at the same time, that would be like really rad.
What are space cakes?
Cannabis cakes.
Oh.
Actually, they'll probably legalize those at the same time they legalize cannabis, when they finally do legalize cannabis, which will come eventually, I feel. It's unlikely that the US will suddenly shift to a conservative, less money base. They seem very intent on making more money, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to attack the Mexican border traffic and smuggling and drug trade. It's one of the easiest ways to make more money for the US, instead of like tax reforms and such. So it seems like with the trend to like money instead of like human relations and foreign relations, like with the Democrats in power, it seems likely that they'll legalize the drugs. It seems that the Democrats, despite all their hoopla, are harder on drugs than the conservatives. That the conservatives feel like the money income from drugs is enough to legalize them, while Democrats feel that that would damage the national health more, and they don't want to like damage their perfect subject society, you know what I mean? That's what I feel like, but it's probably fairly inaccurate.
You said you don't have the money to play EVE Online?
I don't have it at the moment. I don't like have the effort, energy to put into it at the moment. We could probably, like, I could transfer you $15 and you could probably pay me, or like pay for me.
Yeah.
But it feels like I just don't have the like spiritual energy to play it well right now. I would probably need my own computer and like my own peaceful setting to play it well, because I don't feel completely comfortable with the laptop I have here. So that's like one of the hang-ups. But I could possibly like give you some money and have you pay for me, you know? I feel that. I feel like I could do that. You want to gift it to me?
Yeah, but you have to pay every month, don't you?
Yeah, I have to pay every month. I could possibly give you like 100 extra and you could pay for 6 months in advance and then have like no further subscription packages. But I would have to play it fairly significantly for it to be worth it, and I do have other things to do here.
Yeah.
I don't like to play EVE when there's like a spiritual calling near me. I want to build that place and my like double life, my political life, my power life, you know what I mean? I want to build that thing when I'm not physically like requested to do something. It feels like I want to do it when it's like my spiritual availability, you know what I mean?
Do you think you came here to help me, or is that the ultimate reason, or?
No, I think it's about half and half, us wanting both to test our ability to help someone and to actually help someone. I think we're both even in that regard. It seems like neither of us has the upper hand in wanting to help the other. You helped me with like the money getting here, paying the expenses before I got the money from my social security, and you seem like you're putting a lot of effort into being helpful and being helped, so you're not resisting. And I'm putting a lot of effort into doing like the various spiritual disciplines that I've been instructed to you, giving the knowledge that I have to you. But it doesn't seem like either one of us has an advantage in terms of being helpful to the other. At least I feel that we're fairly evenly balanced. It's also kind of hard to help a masochist when you have a lower or higher standing. You have to be in the same level and you have to consistently ground yourself. So that too speaks in favor of us being balanced instead of unbalanced. At least I feel that. I keep referencing the Hands of Light psychological system, so I keep calling you a masochist, even though it's probably a little insulting. But I don't mean it in the insulting sense.
Yeah.
I mean it in the main psychological structure sense.
I'm getting these ocular migraines.
Too much stress from too much of this work, probably.
Yeah, this energy keeps draining me. It's not really draining, it's just I feel it in my eyes.
Yeah, it's too much in-depth service to something, like becoming too involved in something. You feel your brain working really hard.
Yeah.
And it burns it out. I can literally feel the electricity in my brain working hard. And when I try to like shift it to another pattern, it starts to hurt. It feels like this work has to be done and get into the public, even though it's like exhausting. I feel that. So I'm continuing even though I'm a little exhausted. If I start reading the raw material random question thing, it'll give me a lot of information on how to care for the instrument, and then a lot of like goodbye signals. They'll give me a lot of those. And then I'll eventually start to get a good reading if I keep pushing through it, but I'll be exhausted while doing it and it won't be like pleasant for me. The raw material will very quickly on the random setting tell me what to do. It will very quickly ground me, but it will give me like take care of the instrument, I don't know, like very quickly when I'm in this mindset. when I live here alone for the week or 2 weeks that you're gone, I probably won't even fill the trash bag fully in one like cycle.
Yeah.
I probably won't even do that. So I only have to take out one of those trash bags when you guys leave and bring the thing back to the curb.
Yeah.
And then probably just keep it there and keep filling the trash bag in the kitchen. If you guys leave, because the plan is still a little fluid. So bringing me over here was a good expense?
Yeah, it was worth it.
So if anybody else wants your little psychic puppy to come to them, they would have to like cover my expenses and fly me over there for a while, but I could do a lot of psychic work for them while I'm there. You would probably also need to get me CBD. I think I'm done.
You want me to stop the recording?
Yeah, that's good. Bye.